Hi guys, I am AJ. Welcome back to my channel. I don't know what my intro to this channel is anymore because I have not posted in so long. I decided that I'm just going to get out of my head this year and just post because I want to and make things that I want to because I enjoy them and I hope you guys do too. If you've been with me for a while, thank you so much for sticking with me and I hope you enjoy this video. Today is the 29th of January. I wanted to do a January reading recap of the manga, webtoons, manhwas, books, podcasts, and audiobooks that I have read or listened to this month. Before the new year, I asked on my Instagram if I should bring back my manga reading challenges that I used to do on my old Instagram before I got hacked. Basically, I just make this little template to put on your story. It's basically just a little challenge to get you through your TBR list, and every time you read a volume, you can add it to your template. Sometimes you'll fill out the entire template in a day, depending on where you are mentally. This is probably not going to go in order because I don't remember the order that I read them in, but let's go ahead and jump right in. First thing, Tokyo Ghoul. I read volumes 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 this month. I think all the physical manga that I read this month are borrowed from my friend, including these ones. They actually own all of the Tokyo Ghoul. It's their favorite manga, and I was like, okay, yeah, let me finally read it. This is a phenomenal manga. I really like this story. I thought that 14 was the last volume for some reason. I don't think it is actually after reading it. Actually, let's go ahead and Google it real fast. Oh wow, okay. There is 14 volumes. I am a liar. So I did finish reading the manga. Why did that not feel complete though? So I did finish Tokyo Ghoul, and now there's Tokyo Ghoul Re, which is 16 volumes, which I do know my friend has those too. Every time I leave their house, I end up borrowing more manga. They're like a library. I love it. So yeah, so I finished Tokyo Ghoul. Like I said, it did not feel complete with volume 14. If I was reading this in real time, like when it was coming out, and that was the ending, I would have been pissed if I didn't know that there was something else coming. I feel like knowing that there's Tokyo Ghoul Re makes up for it because I know there's more. If that was the ending, like that was it, I would be pissed. I'm not gonna lie, because that was not a conclusive ending in my opinion. Because what the fuck? Like as I was reading like volume 14, I was like, okay, there must be more that I'm missing because this isn't ending anything. Okay, interesting. Now we know. Anyways, so I read 6 volumes of Tokyo Ghoul this month. This is Lullaby of the Dawn by Ichika Yuno. This is volume 5. My friend had volume 1 through 4, and then they got 5 and they immediately handed it to me because they were like, here's the next one. This is such a good story. Oh my god, I love this story. This is so cute. So this is Alto and Elva. They're the main characters. I actually said that Alto kind of reminded me of Eren Yeager, and now that the story is progressing with like the overarching like mystery and like everything, it's kind of giving Attack on Titan a little bit, not in a man-eating Titan way, just in like a corrupt government way, but it's literally got like the island element and like I'm not going to spoil anything, but like if you read it or if you have read this, let me know that, and if you agree with me that this is giving Attack on Titan. His look reminds me of Eren, obviously. I love them. I want them to just be happy, and everything is pushing against that. Of course. So I read this one. It was so good. It's so funny when I sit down to read manga because I'll grab like my bookmark. I never use a bookmark. If I'm sitting down to read a manga, I'm finishing the entire volume probably. If I do use a bookmark, it's probably because I needed to get up to eat or something. This one was a spicy one. And this is a BL called The Metalhead Next Door by Mamita. It does have explicit content, so beware. I love love, 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 love. So good. I love this. God. And if you're a Haikyuu fan, he's definitely giving Sakaza. I don't think I've ever said his name out loud. Sakaza? Is that how you say his name in Haikyuu? They're so like he God, it's so good. Golden Retriever meets Black Cat kind of thing. And they're neighbors and they like save each other and then they just like happen to just become like part of each other's lives and then they realize that like, oh, there's more. Oh, it was so good. I loved it. I did read this in one sitting. And then I also read volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 of Seaside Stranger. This one cannot be done. Like, I think this might still be an ongoing story. Let's double check. No way. Is it complete at 6? It says it's complete at 6 volumes. Oh no. I thought there was going to be more of this. This is such a cute story. Starts with them being on Okinawa Island. Mio, after his mom passed, he was living there with his grandparents, I believe. So he's just dealing with grief. He's still in high school. And then he meets Shun. So Shun is living there with his aunt. His family disowned him because he came out as gay on his wedding day when he was engaged to a girl that he had known like his whole life. Shun is interested in Mio because he's always sitting on this bench by the seaside, just like what's going on with this kid, kind of like just intrigued by him. They became friends. Mio leaves the island to go to college. He comes back 3 years later and confesses to Shun. Their real romance kind of starts there and it progresses through their life together basically. I think it's a total of like 5 years of their relationship throughout the 6 volumes. It's a cute love story between them and it's them figuring out who they are individually as well as a couple, like being together, and what makes them happy and kind of just exploring that part of life and doing it together. This was so cute. I love this story. It does get a little spicy. It says 17 plus. They're figuring out their sex life too and stuff, so a little explicit, I guess. Another one shot that I read, this one is explicit. This one is All or Nothing. This one was very funny. There's a friend group of 4 boys and it comes out that 2 of the boys have been dating for a while, and so that leads to the other 2 being like kind of confused and intrigued by, you know, gay relationships and stuff, and then they decided to try it out together. And they've already been so close just as friends. They're always spending the night at each other's dorms already and stuff. And so they're kind of like, what does it mean if we're closer than we are already and stuff? Or what does it mean that we already are this close? It was really cute. It had some really funny elements to it. I like this one. The last physical manga that I read this month called Semantic Error. It says by Angie, original story by J. Suri. Loved this one so much. Basically, Sangwoo, he is very, I don't know if I would say he's like autistic or anything, but he's definitely something. He's a computer science major and he is very lives by codes. His life is his system. He buys the same can of coffee from the same little store. He takes the same path to class, throws out his can in the same garbage can, wears the same hat. So he is very rigid. He has his way of doing things and he does not stray from that. And then there's this guy. He was supposed to graduate, but he couldn't because he was actually in a group with Sangwoo. Sangwoo took credit for everything because he did everything. His entire group did not contribute or show up throughout the course of the project. So that's where we start talking to the professor and him telling him exactly what happened. He doesn't really have that thought in his brain of like, there might be reasons why other people do things. It's not that he's not showing empathy or sympathy for people, but he just doesn't see why people would do things that aren't exactly what's supposed to happen. So that leads to Jae-young not being able to graduate because he missed the credit. Sangwoo is looking to make an app with someone and the person that he was supposed to make it with backed out, so but they recommended a different guy that turns out to be Jae-young, and they don't recognize each other till they go to add each other's numbers, and then he comes up in Sangwoo's phone as freeloader, and Sangwoo comes up in Jae-young's phone as like dickhead or something like that. And then Jae-young gets like upset again because he's like, this is the guy that's the reason that I can't grad or I didn't graduate, yada yada yada. And then it pisses him off even further that Sangwoo like doesn't have any sympathy for it at all. But again, it's because he just doesn't see it as like he did anything wrong. He's like, I have nothing to apologize for because you're the one who made the mistakes. You're the one who didn't show up and stuff. And you're the reason that you didn't get the credit. Neither of them are kind of understanding where the other one is coming from. And so Jae-young decides to just piss Sangwoo off. Even though Sangwoo doesn't really have friends, he is so rigid in his system. Anyone who does interact with him knows exactly what he's going to do. So it's pretty easy for Jae-young to figure out what his schedule is and just be a pain in his ass. He wears red because Sangwoo hates the color red. He buys up all the coffee that he drinks at the store that he goes to, fills up the garbage can that he usually throws everything out in, blocks the path that he usually takes. He enrolls in every class that Sangwoo is in. He takes the seat that he wants to sit in. Or towards the end of this volume, I think that's kind of where we ended off. So this is volume 1. I don't know how many volumes there are or if they're out right now or anything like that, but I definitely want to read more of this. This is so good. Gosh, it was so good. I loved it. So that's the physical manga that I read. I did read 16. Yay. I did read more than that though. Of course. On my iPad, I like to read my webtoons. I didn't read any new ones, but I did catch up on some of the webtoons that I am subscribed to. I had a bunch of episodes because I have not been keeping up with stuff. So I had a bunch that I could binge read, which included Daybreak, which is such a cute story. I love them so much. The artwork, the storyline, the characters, chef's kiss. It's phenomenal. I highly recommend. So I'm up to episode 218. Refuse to buy coins on webtoons, so I have to wait for the next episodes to be free. I also caught up on Osora, which is such a good story. Oh my goodness. So this is like a fantasy setting, the forbidden romance. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I'm caught up to chapter 48. Actually, today, chapter 49 is going to be free. So I also caught up on what I could read of Here You Are. God, I love this story too. My goodness. I just love all of these stories so much. This is set in college, openly gay older classmen, and then a very quiet, shy, like, I guess you would say he was introverted, but I think it's more of like he just doesn't understand the concept of like hanging out with people or being friends with people. I think it's so good. It's so good. I'm up to episode 63. It looks like episode 64 is actually releasing today. Gonna read that for sure. I think the last webtoon that I really caught up with was Takeoff. I posted on my stories a picture of one of the panels from Takeoff, and I had so many people asking me what it is and where to read it and stuff. I had so many people in my DMs, and I was just like, oh, okay, guys, this is so good. I feel like it was originally supposed to be like a one shot, and then it just kept growing from there. And I feel it when you read it when you from the beginning. My goodness, there's a lot of episodes that either were heavily censored or had to be removed from webtoons because the author just could not get it to censored to a point that webtoons would accept it. So I did actually switch a couple of times and find the episodes on Tapas. It's still censored on there because they only do the explicit episodes on their Patreon, which unfortunately I just cannot afford to subscribe right now. Eventually, I will subscribe to all of my favorite artists and authors to be one of their patrons. Yeah, so it's so good. The art is so good. The characters are so, and their like dynamic is so interesting. Nathan and Andrew have my whole heart and attention right now. Andrew especially. I think there's just I love Nathan too, but like Nathan's older and he like knows what he wants and stuff. And you can tell Andrew's just kind of wanting to fit into what Nathan wants, and that's not what Nathan wants. It's leading to issues, obviously. We like learn more about Andrew's past, and I'm like, my baby. Anyways, so those are the webtoons that I caught up and read this month. And then I did read one like manhwa on websites. It like caught my attention and I decided to start reading it. I think I'm on like chapter like 28 of it now or something. I believe it's called Path to You, and it's by, I'll post the author's Instagram on here and you guys can go and find where you want to read it from. Their author is called Sinran. I love this. I love them. I love them. I love the story. I love where it's going. It's so cute and interesting. The main characters, they meet because one's drowning his sorrows away because he got caught plagiarizing in school and has to rewrite his paper, and then the other one comes up and pukes on him in the bar, and then it turns out that he ends up being part of like a extended friend group. He had graduated, I can't remember their names unfortunately, but so when they confront the issue of the fact that you're the one that puked on me the other night, the one that puked feels really embarrassed and really sorry and wants to make it up to him. The one that's struggling in school decides to take that opportunity to ask him for help with his paper. And then that leads to them, hanging out more, learning more about each other, and actually becoming friends. But then they have like their own personal issues going on at home and stuff like that. So we're kind of learning more about that right now. And then I did read some like what you would call normal books, I guess. These are the ones that I finished like physically. I have a goal of reading the books that I already own from my bookshelf. And this is like an actual novel. It's not like self-help, it's not nonfiction. It's like a whole fiction book. So I'm very proud of myself for doing that because like I can't remember the last time I did that. This was like a 3-star read for me because it was like good. I eventually got into it. But it was just kind of lackluster for me, honestly. But this is called Gods Behaving Badly by Marie Phillips. So this is basically like the Greek gods, or they live in like a townhouse in London now. Because that's like their fall from grace. Putting like the Greek gods into a modern setting is kind of really funny. I feel like this is kind of outdated now though. I feel like it's kind of more of like the early 2000s. They talked about like having cell phones, but I don't remember if it was like kind of like iPhone situation or like a flip phone situation. It all kind of starts with Apollo is still being a little shit and is like trying to get women to sleep with him, and if they piss him off, he like turns them into trees and stuff like that. And so Artemis kind of catches wind of this, so she confronts him, and of course, Aphrodite is there because Apollo and Aphrodite hook up. So Aphrodite and Artemis kind of gang up on Apollo, and they make him swear on the river Styx that he won't cause harm to humans until they all regain their power. And that's like a binding vow if you swear on the river Styx that, like, especially as a god, you cannot break that or the river Styx will actually punish you. Aphrodite takes it a little bit further and she has arrows, her son, shoot Apollo with a love arrow to make him fall in love with a human. Her name is Alice, and she actually has a guy that she's interested in, a guy that's interested in her, but they're very shy and like don't know how to approach each other really. And his name is Neil. And then so unfortunately they get kind of swept up into the gods' lives and them just being interfered with. There's a bunch of stuff where like the gods have to face their own humanity. It was like an entertaining story. Would I read it again? Probably not. I'm really into Greek mythology, and I think that's why I picked this book up in the first place. So it was fun to see them like in a more modern adult setting rather than like what I'm kind of used to. The one that really comes to mind is Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So this was like a more adult read. Like the gods are more used to like humans bending to them, and they approach like the concept of rape, that because that's in the mythology, like that's what the gods did when they didn't get their way and stuff like that. And then you see like the human aspect of it too, of like the trauma that can cause. There's not explicitly rape in here, but they do approach the concept of like it almost happening. That's the only like fiction regular book that I read. Did finally finish reading this. I don't know when I started it, but it was not this month. Why Now Is the Time to Crush It, Cash In on Your Passion by Gary Vanderchuck. Gary V is very popular. This is a very old book though, 2009. Dated, but the principles still remain about being like an entrepreneur and kind of just like following your passion rather than relying on the traditional routes, using social media to get there. Like how Gary V did and currently does was a good book for anyone kind of interested in entrepreneurship. This is a book from my college days that I actually held on to because I remember it being a really good read then. And in light of current events in my current country of America, with the government and stuff, I decided to pick it back up and reread this one. This is called The Language of Oppression. A lot of the stuff in here stuck with me the first time I read it. I did have to write a paper and stuff on this, so that's mostly why I tabbed a lot of it. Deciding to go reread it. I actually am like highlighting stuff in it this time because there's a lot of really good stuff in it. Talks about, how people use language and the spoken word to oppress people. It's a lot of examples from Hitler and the Nazi regime, as well as the language that has been used to oppress people of different colors, of different nationality, religion, sex, and stuff like that. So I guess you can say this is more of a serious read, but I feel like it's very eye-opening, and I feel like right now is a good time for me to reread this with the new administration coming in, kind of being aware of the tactics that have always been at play with people using language as a weapon. And then I also did listen to a couple of audiobooks, and I'm currently listening to a couple of audiobooks. This was mostly brought on because of a therapy session that I had. I wanted to approach the idea of unlearning the all or nothing concept that I kind of have always lived by, where I have to do everything perfect or do everything to completion before I can be satisfied, getting other people's praise or attention or, approval before I feel accomplished or anything. So I looked up books that could help kind of approach this concept. I don't expect books to teach me everything, but their help with learning concepts and finding tools to help myself in this adventure thing. I don't know. So I read this one, The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. Very good. I highly recommend. I am currently listening to this audiobook, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. You've honestly probably heard of or seen this book, pretty popular. So I rented it on Libby through my library card. I'm also listening to Talk Like TED by Carmen Gallo, the 9 public speaking secrets of the world's top minds. Talks about TED Talks and how people approach making a TED Talk and then like properly communicating. I really haven't watched too much TV, usually watching YouTube. I haven't watched a lot of anime because financially cannot afford my Crunchyroll subscription right now. It's not something that I feel comfortable adding back into my discretionary spending at the moment. So I haven't really watched that much anime because I'm too lazy to go on and hunt for like the websites anymore. I got really used to just watching everything on Crunchyroll. And when you don't have the Crunchyroll premium, there's a lot of commercials. And it's so distracting to watch like 6 commercials back to back every 10 minutes or something. So I really haven't watched that much anime. I have watched a couple of episodes of One Piece this month because I want to watch One Piece. But then I watch an episode and I'm like, oh my god, I can't do these commercials. So, but I am an egghead finally, and I'm on episode 1102. I might borrow my friend's Crunchyroll subscription so that I can watch some more because I really miss watching anime. I don't feel like hunting for the websites or risking my computer getting a virus trying to watch anime right now. So I think that's everything. I have been talking for an hour now. Editing is going to be fun. Oh my gosh. Vash has a hole in him. I was like, why do I feel stuffing? Because I accidentally shoved my thumb inside of Vash. Anyways, it's kind of everything that I consumed this month. I read a lot of fanfics. But that's my AO3 history, and I'm not going through that deep, dark dungeon. I'm very proud that I completed my manga volume reading challenge. If you have any suggestions for anything that you think I should check out, please let me know. I'd love to add them to my TBR list. If you stuck around to the end and actually liked this video, make sure to leave a comment down below to encourage me to make another one. Give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my next video. And I hope you guys have a good morning, evening, afternoon, noon, or night, wherever you are in the world. I hope you have a lovely one. Bye. Bye.